Belt.
And joining us right now, he is an economist. He is a professor at the University of Maryland Smith School of Business, and he is an absolute demon on Twitter. You can follow him at Morici1. He is Peter Morici. Hey, Peter, good morning.
Good morning.
Professor, I'm sure you watched with great interest this week as the battle, and the rhetorical battle specifically, was engaged over the future of health care in America. And I know that you are an advocate of some change and some improvement. That seems to be that many people are looking at potentially delaying the individual mandate and therefore delaying a huge chunk of Obamacare by 1 year, since the administration has already unilaterally delayed so much of it for a year. What would that do to our economy and to our healthcare system, considering we've been ramping up for this rollout that's supposed to occur 4 days from now?
Well, the rollout would continue in many important ways. For example, all the new requirements on health insurance policies go into place, which are driving employers, like Trader Joe's, for example, to end coverage for part-time employees. These mini policies. You can't spend $20,000 on a policy for someone that works 8 hours a week, but you can offer them some piece of a policy. All that goes out the window. So it doesn't really stop a lot of the changes in the insurance market, the creation of the exchanges, as an example, and the requirement that some people use them because they're going to have to by market circumstances. That's why I think it's more important to force more fundamental change in the law by, for example, denying funding if indeed that's necessary, with the budget cap and so forth.
But if they have to go after the debt ceiling and have the fight over that, is it worth it? Well,
the president has decided to make it a high-stakes game. He has a choice. Right now, he can start to manage the cash that he has, because on October 17th, suppose we get past this budget thing, and so it's the debt ceiling. Then it's up to him to pay what bills he wants to pay and hold back on others, because he will still have cash. He'll have lots of it. Remember, the government will continue to collect taxes, so he'll be able to pay 85% of his bills. But he'll rather finance Meals on Wheels than pay America's creditors.
He gets to choose. That's right, yeah.
So he can pay the creditors. America is a banana republic only if he wants it to be, and in some ways he's making it that. One of the reasons we're having all this cadaver over health care is the way he dragooned it through Congress, through sleight of hand, and has turned it into America's first illegitimate piece of social legislation. In the past, all other major legislation was passed by bipartisan consensus. This was not. And it was really taken through the House by virtually illegal means. It obviously is legal, but it certainly did break trust. And, as a consequence, he's got his hands full. You break the rules, sooner or later it comes back to bite you.
Well, Peter Morici, the game inside the Beltway right now is talking strategy, talking the chess game. What should Republicans do? You say that they're behaving like children when they threaten to shut down the government. Well, what are their other options?
Well, their other options would have been to send back a continuing resolution that was more realistic. What I would have done was send back a continuing resolution, say that went 6 months, fund everything for 6 months, but only fund Obamacare for 3 months, and stake out a position. Say, look, this bill was passed without the consent of 48% of the American people, yet it radically changes the lives of all American people. As a consequence, what we'd like to do is negotiate with you changes in the law, fundamental changes in the law, that will make it possible for everybody to support the law and for us to work with you in the terrible process of implementing real reform and change. Now, will you sign this continuing resolution? Then that would put him up against the wall if he did, over 3 months to really negotiate something, much in the way that Republicans were put up against the wall through the 2011 deal with regard to the fiscal cliff.
Right.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
The old saying, though, is that the market doesn't like uncertainty. Yesterday, modest gains on the Dow, 55 points. But how is this impacting the market overall? Because there's a lot of uncertainty about how this is ultimately going to be resolved.
Screw the market. We're talking about turning 1/5 of the U.S. economy into a socialist enterprise, making America absolutely uncompetitive in global markets, driving American companies offshore. The reach of socializing 20% of the U.S. economy is so profound and so compelling, especially in a situation where the government spends and controls another 1/5 through welfare programs. It's absolutely absurd to think that we should worry about whether this causes a bit of gas.
No, that was not my point. That was not my question.
No, but that's really what it comes down to. We're talking about giving the market some gas because we're looking at fundamental problems. The real problem here is the misrepresentation, for example, in the New York Times yesterday. It said, economists of all stripes agree this would be disastrous. It's only disastrous if Mr. Obama chooses not to pay his debts. Mm-hmm. He can pay his debt.
There's nothing that stops him from doing that.
They didn't call me up when they printed that.
Yeah, you're one of those economists who begs to differ with the New York Times.
Well, I guess I don't have one of the stripes they have. I'm not on the zebra.
This is why we like having you, Peter Morici, of course, University of Maryland professor and economist and regular guest here on Mornings on the Mall. Dr. Morici, you say you screw the market, and I agree with that because to me the biggest issue right now with regard to the rollout of Obamacare has less to do with your 401k and your portfolio. It has to do with the very real consequences for your visits to the doctor. I mean, forget about Wall Street. This is about what's happening at your kitchen table. And when a lot of people are getting letters from their employers, they're confused, and they are so in flux right now about the future of their health care. How is that going to affect our economy in the next few months?
Very, very, very badly. For one thing, it's already having very deleterious effects. Under the assumption that it's going to continue, that we're going to have Obamacare, employers have created over 800,000 new part-time jobs since the beginning of the year. And they've created only 33,000 new part-time jobs since the beginning of the year. That is about 11 jobs, maybe 100. It's about 11 jobs per county in the United States. So Fairfax County, under the Obamacare regime, has managed to create 11 new jobs. I mean, that's an average across all the counties. That's absurd. This is having very negative effects. You know, think about it this way. When that gang got together in Philadelphia and signed a declaration saying it didn't want to be part of Britain anymore, they really weren't worried about how that would upset the lives of the Boston traders. And, you know, a good number of the loyalists were very concerned about their lives being upset. This is about whether we're going to continue to have an America. America's healthcare system is broken. The Republicans are dead wrong to think that things like individual savings accounts will fix it. But, you know, just doing something harebrained, foolish, and very French is not the answer. Thorough, look at the situation in French. Would you like to meet in Mr. Olean's situation right now? That's where Mr. Obama's taking us.
All right, Peter Morici. Peter Morici just called John Adams and Thomas Jefferson gang leaders.
No, I didn't say gang leaders. This is the gang that got together.
The gang. Well, if it's a gang.
That's the way the Parliament viewed it.
It was a gang, and they were being led. I guess they're gang leaders. All right,
well, the gang of eight on Capitol Hill. I mean, that's hardly a derogatory statement.
I just teasing you.
Forward-looking moderate senators who would sell America down the chute.
We were just busting on
a little PR.
That's all.
Have a great weekend, Peter Morici. Always good to have you again. Follow him on Twitter. He's always entertaining. Peter Morici and the numeral 1. Thank you, Professor.
You have a good weekend, guys.
You too.
Good week.